Jonathan Kuminga might be traded for Lauri Markkanen soon, and I absolutely hate the idea of it. Over the past few days, there have been so many rumors about Lauri Markkanen being traded for Jonathan Kuminga and other pieces, but the piece that I really care about and I want to talk about today is Jonathan Kuminga, because I just simply don't understand how he could be on the table right now. I just don't know how you could have watched this man this year and say that he's not ready to take that next leap. And I might be high on him, maybe I think more highly of him than other people, but me, myself, watching the explosiveness, the athleticism, all the things that he brings to the team that no one else brings, that maybe Wiggins brings at his 2022 best version of himself, I just cannot see how you can trade him away. And just last week, many reports, except one by Tim Kawakami of The Athletic, said that Jonathan Kuminga was not even on the table for Paul George, and that him not being on the table actually killed some of the talks for Paul George. So you're saying that the Warriors want Lauri Markkanen so much more that they're willing to give Danny Ainge Jonathan Kuminga? And Danny Ainge, by the way, could be lying this whole time. He could be just entertaining himself this whole summer, and just on August 6th, when Lauri Markkanen is available for an extension, he's going to sign that extension, and then Lauri Markkanen can't be traded for another 6 months. So we would have wasted all this time pursuing someone and possibly even almost giving up Jonathan Kuminga because of Danny Ainge. And I understand the fact that you want to give up Jonathan Kuminga because he doesn't fit the timeline of Steph Curry, and you need to help Steph Curry win right now. But is Lauri Markkanen really that much better than Jonathan Kuminga and the growth that he's probably going to take in year number 4? Oh, and by the way, Lauri Markkanen doesn't even play as many games as Jonathan Kuminga has played. Lauri Markkanen has consistently been available for like 50, 60 games at most his whole career, whether that be on the Utah Jazz, the Cleveland Cavaliers, or the Chicago Bulls. Jonathan Kuminga has been available for majority of the games, as far as I remember, for the Golden State Warriors. And in fact, I'm looking at it right now, Lauri Markkanen played 68 games in his very first season when he was a rookie. That's the most he's ever played. The rest have been 50, 52, so on. Jonathan Kuminga in his very first season played 70 games, and last season, 2023-2024, his breakout season in my opinion, played 74 games. But for the Paul George situation, the reasoning was, oh my god, don't give up Jonathan Kuminga because Paul George is injury prone, he's 34 years old, he's going to be 38 by the time, and you're going to be paying him $50 million per year. Don't give up Jonathan Kuminga because that's too much of a risk. But Lauri Markkanen, who's a one-time All-Star and who doesn't really play defense, is unavailable in games played, and is actually an expiring contract, so there's no guarantee that he resigns. You want to give up Jonathan Kuminga. And let's also take another example down the street in Sacramento. They have Keegan Murray, and they're not willing to give him up at all. They think he's a cornerstone of that franchise, that he's not being traded whatsoever. And if we look at his stats, he averaged 15 points per game last year on 35% from 3, which is another thing because you guys said, or not you guys, but many of the people out there said that Jonathan Kuminga is not a good 3-point shooter. So it's not just the shooting that makes the difference between Keegan Murray and Jonathan Kuminga. First of all, Jonathan Kuminga, I think, is a way better slasher and finisher and just down-the-hill player than Keegan Murray is. But the point is that Sacramento is so set on not giving up Keegan Murray, but yet we're so willing to give up Jonathan Kuminga because we want to maximize Steph Curry's prime. When Jonathan Kuminga is right there, he can do that. And who knows, maybe the Warriors front office is doing exactly what I'm saying, and they don't have Jonathan Kuminga in any of their trade talks. He's completely untouchable. They have the package of Gary Payton II, Moses Moody, Kevon Looney, a bunch of picks, whatever, on the table for Danny Ainge, and they're just, maybe that's why the trade isn't going through, because Danny Ainge wants more, which rightfully so. I mean, it is Lauri Markkanen. But I just think that Jonathan Kuminga shouldn't be included in any trade talks. I think he's a future franchise player, future All-Star, multi-time All-Star for the Warriors. And honestly, I do want to see homegrown talent succeed for the Warriors because of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. And maybe that's the biased perspective I have as a Warriors fan, watching Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green get drafted for this organization and succeeding, winning multiple championships. Maybe I want to watch Jonathan Kuminga do the same, and maybe that's why it was so hard when Klay Thompson left. But the point is that I just don't think that the fans are really going about it the right way. And also one more thing is that Moses Moody, people are so high on him when he hasn't even played at all. What has he shown us that he should be untouchable? Not per se untouchable, but he shouldn't be included in the package, but Jonathan Kuminga should. Now, I get Jonathan Kuminga probably has more value, but actually on the Zach Lowe podcast, I heard him say that Moses Moody is probably what most teams want right now. He's the young player that most teams want right now because of the untapped potential and how he's just riding the bench for the Warriors. So Moses Moody should actually be in this trade, I think, in my personal opinion, because he has all this untapped potential that he could succeed somewhere else, blossom somewhere else. Well, guess what? Jonathan Kuminga is already blossoming before our very eyes, and I think a lot of people refuse to see it. So what do I think the Warriors front office should do in a Lauri Markkanen or some other secondary scorer trade? Well, first of all, I think that they've done a wonderful job after losing Klay Thompson and Chris Paul. 2 days before they did all these moves, it looked very bleak for the franchise. Klay Thompson had walked, Chris Paul they had waived, which we all thought was a really bad decision, but then they went out and they signed D'Anthony Melton, who's solid. He's just going through an injury right now. They signed Slow-Mo, Kyle Anderson, and then they traded for Buddy Hield. I mean, I can't really ask for much better from Mike Dunleavy Jr. than replacing Klay Thompson and Chris Paul, who were both bench players at this point, who they're going to start on their next teams, but replacing them with quality role players. But what do I think they should do? The front office should do? I think that they should look out there for whatever package they can get for Moses Moody, Gary Payton II, and a bunch of picks. Whether that's going to be Lauri Markkanen, probably not, because Danny Ainge is probably going to wait it through and want a hell of a lot for Lauri Markkanen. But wait it out, see if it's Zach LaVine, then okay, he's a secondary scorer, I guess, but you might not want that humongous contract from the Bulls. If it's Vucevic even, I'm just throwing names out there. Or maybe a disgruntled star gets disgruntled later on in the season, a la Dame or something. I don't know. But someone who gets disgruntled and you can trade for them. I think that the Warriors should wait it out, but not get desperate and try to trade Jonathan Kuminga, because I really think that he's going to take that next step in year 4. And a little incentive is that the All-Star game is in San Francisco this upcoming season. So how nice would it be to see Jonathan Kuminga, our homegrown All-Star? And one last thing that I want to touch on before we end this video is that even if we do trade Jonathan Kuminga for Lauri Markkanen, I really don't think that the ceiling of this team is championship contention. I think that you're going to give away the future, or the person that might save our future from mediocrity and suckiness forever, for someone that might lift our team to a 4th seed. I still think OKC is going to be better, Dallas is going to be better, the Nuggets are going to be back, Memphis also is going to be back. There's so many teams out there in the West that we're competing against. So I really don't think that this all of a sudden catapults us to the next level. Now, if we can get Lauri Markkanen without giving up Jonathan Kuminga, now that, I think, can catapult us to championship contention. And honestly, I think that might be what Mike Dunleavy Jr. is waiting on. But anyway, I think that's really all I have to say about this whole Warriors trade situation. But if you agree with my opinions, if you disagree with my opinions, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment down below if you disagree, and I'll see you in the next one.